this short series on programming. I'll be covering about arrays and pointers, and I'll be touching upon how programmers make very subtle mistakes while using arrays and pointers in their daily programs. Also, before starting about arrays and pointers more formally, I would like to touch upon these two topics. The first one is the difference between declaration and definition, and the second one is the difference between L value and R value. Both of these topics are highly relevant because they come in a lot of compiler messages. When a compiler throws a warning or a compiler throws an error, these are terms that are very frequently used, and it will be very helpful for quick debugging if we know these terms well enough. So let's begin with what is a declaration. A declaration is something like, let's say, extern int x. What this says is that I have an object x. By an object I mean just a C thing. It's not an object in the conventional C++ world. It's just a C thing. And what this says is that x is a thing of type integer, and what this extern says is that it is defined elsewhere. So this is a declaration, and another declaration is a function prototype. What it says is the type of the parameters as well as the return value of the function. So in this case, the type of the parameters would be integers. It takes two integer arguments and returns a value of type double. So what declaration tells you is the type of the object. Nothing more, nothing less. Just the type of the object. And now what is a definition? A definition, on the other hand, gives you an additional information. It not only tells you the type, but also reserves space for it. How does it reserve space for it? So a definition also gives the compiler the additional information of size. For example, so you have something like int ARR of 100. What this tells the compiler is that ARR is an integer array that is specified by this, and it has 100 things in it. So it has 100 integers in this case. And what the compiler now knows is that it will need the space of 100 integers because we have to store 100 integers. So let's say each of the integers is of size 4 bytes. So in our case, this entire array will take 400 bytes. So that is a definition and that is a declaration. So declaration just gives the type, and definition also does the additional job of reserving memory for that particular thing. One way to remember this is that a declaration is like a customs declaration. So in which you say that you have a thing of a particular type, you have something somewhere. You just don't you don't need to tell where exactly that particular thing is. You just need to tell that I have an object of this kind. So you have a customs declaration. So a declaration is similar to that, whereas a definition is more concrete. So it also has the additional aspect of reserving memory for that particular object. So that is the first topic. The next topic I want to cover is that of L values and R values. So for this, consider the statement, let's say A equals B. Now, what does A refer here and what does B refer here? So when A is used in this context, so clearly this is an assignment statement. So A is assigned the value of B. So when A is used in this context, A refers to a location value, because A in this context gives the compiler the information of where to store the value of B. So A is the location value in this case, and B in this case is the R value. So R simply stands for the right hand side. So in this case, B would actually be the value that you want to store, and this would be like the address. So L values and R values. One important thing to note here is that an L value is known at compile time. So when you compile a program, the compiler generates something called as a symbol table, and the symbol table basically contains the address of each of the symbols that is used in the program. So the L values are essentially generated at compile time, whereas the R value, which is the actual value of B, is actually generated only at runtime, because the value of B might depend on a lot of computations which will actually happen only once you actually run the program. So R values at runtime and L values at compile time. So these are two important topics, declaration versus definition, and R value versus L value. So in the next set of videos, I'll cover upon other topics in arrays and pointers. Thank you.